So hello, my name's Roxanne. I've been showing dogs since I was 18 months when I first attended the Ring, and I've been training dogs since an early teenage stage and training other people at that time as well. So we're going to go on to how you stand your dog. This is when you're in the show ring and getting your dog used to being stood, standing on 4 feet, and also then getting them ready for the assessment from the judge as well, which is done while the dog's standing. For most breeds, they're normally stood with the front legs coming straight down from their shoulders, and then the rear legs are placed back. Again, they should be straight and the rear pasterns should be vertical to the floor. You can do this by either placing your dog's legs, and this is called a stacked breed, so it can either hold the head and or the tail depending on the breed specific way of showing. The other way to stand them is to let them stand themselves naturally, which is called freestanding. To get a dog used to this, the training can be sometimes a bit harder because you try not to touch your dog, you try and let them do everything themselves and work it all out for themselves. But once you've got the training there and the training in place, the dog will be taught to stand at a distance just away from you and normally looking at you or your bribe. Each breed will be handled slightly differently, and a lot of this depends on fashions of what's currently in the ring at the moment or just how the breed's always been. For example, setters would be stacked with their head and their tail held out, whereas a lot of your rough collies, for example, would be completely free stood without any intervention to how they're standing from the owners. The way you'd find this out is if you attend a show, then you can see what people do, speak to all the exhibitors there. Alternatively, if your breeder shows, then ask them how your breed is and see if they can help you with anything breed specific. Some dogs are stood on the table, where others are judged on the floor for assessment from the judge. Generally, any breed under 18 inches will be on the table, although this isn't a hard set rule. It is, again, very breed specific. Check with your breeder, check with other exhibitors, just to see how your dog should be stood. Most breeds are stood side on to the judge, with the exception of a few breeds, so some are shown front on, for example, Staffordshire Bull Terriers. When you're standing your dog and the judge is looking at them for assessment, first of all, the judge would look at them at a distance to see the overall picture of the dog. They'll then want to approach the dog and put their hands on to actually feel what's under a coat of the dog and how the dog is constructionally made. Judges would start by looking at the teeth and the head of the dog, and then they'll go down, they'll check neck, shoulder placement, front angulation, bone of leg. They'll want to check how the rib cage is sprung, and going all the way down the body, so how long the ribs are, how long the loin is, have they got a level top line. They then go on to the rear angulation of the dog, checking that they've got a turn or stifle, applicable to the breed standard, and also checking things like tail set. They'll check the length of tail in some breeds, and just generally checking that the dog is constructionally made well, and on male dogs they will check the testicles. It's important that your dog is used to being gone over, so is settled while a stranger is touching them. So you'd want the dog to be of a good, calm nature. A little bit of jumping with a puppy would be acceptable to most judges. Just make sure then that the dog does stay still, distract them if you need to, if they do get a little bit wiggly and fidgety, but they should never snap towards a judge. You're allowed to take treats into the ring at the shows and use these at any point. So if you need to keep your dog's attention, you can use the treats and use as many as you need to. Normally, softer treats that the dog can eat quicker will obviously be a lot easier in the ring than something hard and crunchy. The judge may ask how old your dog is, and some judges will just generally try and put a handler at ease as well. So just be prepared, smile sweetly and answer questions. To train your dog for the stand, you want to start off by getting the dog to stand just on 4 feet to learn what the command is and what you want from them. From there, you'd either want to teach them to move their own feet into the correct position or let you move the feet for them when you're stacking the dog. To get a dog to free stand, you'd want to use your body language. You can teach them backwards and forwards. Nice little tricks there to use just to get them to keep moving until they fall in the right place. Generally, a dog that's constructed well will stand quite naturally and quite easily. use lure and reward. So if you need to bring the dog forward slightly, very slowly, use your hand to bring forward, and then let the dog have the treat as a well done, just to start teaching them. Same when you're stacking your dog, get your dog just used to you picking up the feet and placing them down. This can be done before you get to the advanced stages of training, so even if you're not sure, just get your dog used to having the legs picked up and put back down into place. So typical mistakes that people make is over fidgeting with the dog. So they'll try too hard to get the dog correct when it's not needed. So if your dog is standing correctly, don't think you have to move the legs. If you're happy with it, then let the dog stay where it is. And also, if you are placing your dog's legs, be careful how you pick them up. Make sure you're picking up the whole leg and then placing it back down gently. You don't want to be pulling the leg across the floor. With freestanding breeds, sometimes what you get is the dog will be fidgeting too much, but then you find that the handler is also then waving food around, which is distracting the dog. Try and make sure that the food's hidden, but they know it's there, and give it to them regularly, especially puppies who might not be used to standing still for long periods of time. If you've brought a puppy, especially for the show ring, then you can start training as soon as you get them home. You can just start teaching them what stand is, just a couple of seconds on the floor or on a table, and then give lots of praise and reward. Keep it fun for the dog. And then attend some classes. So as soon as the pup's allowed out and sociable with other dogs after they've had the inoculations, try and find a local Ringcraft class that you can take your puppy to. And even if you just go along for the first couple of nights just to have a little walk around the mats and absorb as much information yourself rather than trying to take too much on at one time.